Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference.
Welcome to the Multifamily Zone, where business meets family. We explore what the entrepreneur life looks like from the family perspective. Now here are your hosts, Julia and Gino Barbaro.
This is Julia Barbaro, host of the Multifamily Zone podcast. I'm here with the co-founder of Jake Gino, my husband and co-host, Gino Barbaro.
The third time is the charm, Julia. How you doing, Jill?
It's good. I'm good. It's funny because my husband and I, we always tease each other and then I mess up. Always. It just happens. I don't know what that is.
What's the saying? You play with the bull, you get the horns. You got to watch out, baby.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good podcast today because it's a show that my wife feels a little bit uncomfortable about. And for her, I think she nailed it from the very beginning. We're going to be discussing how to find your life purpose or your vocation. And I want everyone to think out there right now, are you happy with your life? It's an easy question to answer. You either are or you aren't. And then the next question is, why aren't you happy? If you're not happy, why aren't you happy? And if you are, try to diagnose why you are and see what's working in your life.
You know, from a young age, I always had a vision of being married and having children. And that's what I wanted. I really did. And I didn't think, you know, what if? A lot of people give me a hard time because I didn't want the big career. I really wasn't. There was something about it I just didn't want. And so I went with what I had, that vision. I did. And I made the decisions based on that vision. And so I got married. And we have a family. And that's what I was looking for. And that gives me such I guess peace. It's work. Obviously, it's a lot of work when we have a vocation, when we have something that we want to do in life, we have to work hard for it. And there are a lot of times when we're like, wow, what did I do? And there's a lot of stories that I can tell you of moments of just being like, did I make the right decision? And I just have to keep going with it because it's important to stay focused on that vision.
And I give my wife a lot of credit because being a mother who stays home, your results are a lagging indicator of your success. And what do I mean by that? Well, Julia stays home with the kids. It's a struggle for the first few years. She doesn't see any really results. And you may be doing this for years and your kids are getting older and no one's really telling you other than your spouse, maybe your mother, you're doing a great job. And it's really hard. So you really have to be locked into that vocation. You really have to be dedicated to it. And Julia could have said, hey, you know, Gino, why don't we go and start flipping some houses? Or why don't we go and open another restaurant? And that would have been great. I would have probably loved that. We probably would have crushed that endeavor because I see now that we're buying homes again and she's helping with Jake and Gino. We could have gotten caught up with that in the middle of raising our children. And we wouldn't have the kids that we have now. I guarantee you. I mean, she dedicated her life to homeschooling and to being home with them all the time. And that was her vocation. That's what she loved. And I think that made our family a lot stronger. But for me, I sort of pulled back also because I saw every time that she was getting busy, I would ask her to help me with stuff. And I'll give you a perfect example. I'm looking at our cookbook right now. I took a year out of her life to write this cookbook. And one of our kids is like emotionally scarred a little bit from it because she was always on the computer doing the recipes and the pictures and all. And then we saw from that, it was hard. And you have a decision to make. You can, and a lot of people do it successfully. But for us, having a large family and knowing what we wanted to do and knowing that we were dedicating our lives to that portion, she stuck with her vocation. She says, you know what? I don't want any shiny object syndrome. Any multifamily investors out there who want to jump into single family or who want to jump into self-storage because there are no deals right now. Well, I think choosing your vocation is sort of the same way. There's going to be a lot of challenges as you go through it. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to try something else. If you really know in your heart and you really, sit down and think about it, pray about it, meditate about it. What do you want to do? And if it comes to you, you just need to have the belief and the passion to see it through.
Yeah. And the question we have to ask too, because the thing is this, we'll talk about you, Gino, in a second, but when I was younger and that was my vision for my life, and that's what I wanted. Like I said, I made decisions based off of that, and it does change when we obviously your life changes as you grow up and as you mature. And so now my life is super different than what it was. And there were moments when the kids were all young. And, if you have a family out there, when their kids are younger, it's hard to see them as adults. So it's hard to actually envision what life will be like, because you can't imagine your little baby as a 25-year-old woman. You just can't. But when it happens, it's incredible. And at this moment in my life, it feels like I'm still obviously mother, I'm still wife, but my role is a little different. And I could take on those things that I've always, I can't wait until, which I wish I didn't do that at the time. We'll talk about that later, because I love to be in the moment now. And I learned that how precious right now is. But sometimes we think of, this is what I chose here, I'm stuck here. Your life changes as you grow up. You become, you go through life experiences. And that's when you get older. Then now it's like, wow, I have so much to go off of. And that's why we have a podcast, because we have so much life experience. We've been through so much, and we could share it with everybody now. And I love that. And I wish I learned all of this back in the day, because it was just me and I just wanted to do everything by myself. And I learned that that's usually not the good way to do it, to get advice from other people, learn from other people's mistakes, learn from their wins. But so now my life is different, and I have to say, okay, what is my vision now? Even though I'm still in the same, as I said, mother and wife, what is my vision now? And now I could help my husband working, which I absolutely love. We loved working together back before we got married. And now here we are again. It was like full circle, right?
Visionary integrator. She gets it done. When you have 6 kids, you process stuff. And I never hear her say, I'm too busy. That doesn't happen in our household. So we work well together, and we could have fallen into that trap. We could have been the Chip and Joanna Gaines. We really could have done that. I know in my heart, but that's not really what I wanted anyway, because I didn't think that would bring us happiness. And that comes to my first point. It's never too late. Mm-hmm. Whether you're 20 years old or you're 60 years old or you're 80 years, it's never too late. What you need to do, and I love Steven Covey's book, The 7 Habits, start with the end in mind. What do you want people to remember you by? That may be a good indicator of what you want and how you want to lead your life. I always wanted people at the end of my life, when I'm there, and people are there to show their respects. Boy, he really helped a lot of people. He was really caring. He was really giving. He was a great father. He was a great mentor. He was a great husband, all that. So let's reverse engineer that. That's really, really important that you do that. Start thinking in long term. Start thinking like the 100-year real estate investor, the brand that we created. It's not short-term thinking. It's long-term generational thinking, because what you do today right now is going to affect your grandkids and their kids. So think of it from that term. So you will not make decisions loosely or lightly. You'll really think deeply about them, because when Gabriella has kids, all of a sudden I'm taking actions today that is going to affect her. Now, once you do that, ask yourself the question, who are you? I'm Gino. What do you do? Think about that question. And I was doing some research a little while ago, and I was thinking about that. And that's why I failed at the restaurant, because what did I do at the restaurant? Well, I just cooked meals, and who did I help is the third question. And I never answered that question. I did, but not really deeply. And what do I mean by that? So I'm cooking meals, I'm helping people out. But more importantly, if I got granular and I made it a powerful, passionate, sole purpose statement, like I help families get around the dinner table and spend quality time. Do you think I'd be more passionate about going to the restaurant and working and trying to implement and trying to grow my business than I just sell pizza? What a difference that would have made. I was thinking about this yesterday, preparing for this. I'm like, I'm actually glad I didn't think about it, because I'd still be in the restaurant, but I'm just saying that would have changed the trajectory of everything. I would put tender loving care into cooking meals, into thinking about preparing the menu. And after a while, it did become a job, because I didn't think of it in those terms. We were doing bar mitzvahs, we were doing bridal showers, we were catering weddings, backyard barbecues. These are all events where people get together and they're really special. But to me, all I saw was a catering tray of food, a big ziti, and I saw chicken fingers. And I didn't really see that we're really cooking amazing food and getting people or families around the dinner table. That was what I should have said to people. And then they would say, well, how do you do that? Oh, well, I own a restaurant and I cook this amazing Italian food, and we just love to be able to offer that service and deliver it to their houses.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. We were just talking about this the other day. You've taken exactly what you just said. I always saw that in you. I always saw that you were helping people, because I would talk to the people that would be leaving the restaurant. I would talk to the people that you'd be catering to, and I would see the difference you would make, because when food is good at a party, I mean, right? Mm-hmm. So when food is good, the party is better, right? So I saw that, and I saw the difference you made in people's lives. I mean, you catered Jake Cinciano's wedding and Whitney, and that's incredible. So you made a difference in people's lives, and it's interesting that you got burnt out of the restaurant because what it was and how it happened. But you are in ultimately the same situation now. You're still helping people, but just a different career. And I think that's amazing.
Julie, but that's important that you say that, because I was working in the business. Yes. I wasn't working on the business. Right. That's the problem. I was deep into it. I couldn't afford this person. I couldn't afford that. Mm-hmm. That's the wrong mistake. Right. And that leads me to my next point. Happiness is serving others. If I was thinking in that terms of I'm serving and I'm helping others, that mom that comes home from New York City mm-hmm. up to where we lived in Mayapack, she doesn't have time to cook a good meal, to cook something healthy and to get the kids around the dinner table. So she'd come and pick up the food at the restaurant, bring it home. If I thought from that perspective, it would have been completely different. I'm getting like the chills now, because it's really, if you think about mm-hmm. it, to be able to deliver a nice salmon dinner to a family that doesn't have time to do it and actually have a good quality meal, that makes such a difference. So always focus on serving those most. That's where you're going to ultimately derive your happiness. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 basic human needs. The 6 needs, the first 4 are fundamental. I'll go through them real quick. Certainty, uncertainty, significance, and being unique. Those are the first 4, right? Significant, uniqueness, or love. Number 5 and number 6 is where we actually excel and where we really start living an amazing life. And most people don't hit these 5 and 6. The 5th one is growth. You're continuing to grow. You're either growing, you're dying. And the 6th one is contribution. You're contributing to other people's lives. So if you're in business, think of that. You're offering a service. I'm contributing to every person who used to walk into the restaurant, their life, by offering them that food, by offering them that camaraderie, by making them feel good. It's not what you say sometimes. It's how you make people feel. So when they walk into the restaurant, they felt really comfortable. They knew my mom up front. They just knew that they were getting a great meal. They knew that, some love went into it. They knew that they were getting it for a great price. So that contribution is huge. And I'll take it to what we're doing at Jake and Gino. What do we do at Jake and Gino? Really, it comes down to it's education. I'm buying multifamily apartments, but when I ripped it down, I wrote these 3 sentences down. Number 1, we're creating multifamily entrepreneurs. Think about that. When someone asks me, Gino, what do you do? I'm going to say to them, we create multifamily entrepreneurs. And what that does, that's sort of an elevator pitch. Well, what do you mean by that? If I just tell people, I invest in real estate, not really a big deal, right? But I create multifamily entrepreneurs. Another one, I help create time freedom for people. Well, what does that mean? Well, people are investing in multifamily, they're investing in apartments, they're trying to create passive income, whether they're limited partners or they're doing their own deals, and ultimately they want to go into it passively to create some of that time freedom. That's an amazing thing. And the third one is I help create financial security. We're doing our personal finance academy. We're teaching other strategies. Those 3 sentences I've really come up with because I'm trying to think of ways that I am helping other people. And, listen, over 17,000 units closed, over $1 billion in transactions that our students have done. We're making an amazing impact, but it's not about what I'm doing. It's about how we're helping others. And I'm deriving so much happiness and so much fulfillment from that perspective. From that, it allows me to get on the multifamily zone and share it. It allows us to do all the other podcasts. And the more you do that, the more you become the Bob Berg, the go-giver. That's where you're going to derive your happiness from, because we're taught at an early age, it's about me, me, me. It is about me, me, me to a certain point. And if you're only looking at yourself inward and you're not looking at serving others, it's not the give to get. It's really the seek to serve model. If you're out there serving and helping others, I will promise you, you're going to have an amazing life. Because when it's only about sending out the chicken parm and just making that money for the chicken parm, but not thinking about the impact that you're having on families, you're missing the point here.
Yeah, one of the things too we have to really ask ourselves is, who were we created to be? What type of person? Because we could do all those things and be a nasty person, right? I could be mother of 6 and be terrible and be mean and be, impatient, the whole thing. I could be a wife, same thing. My husband could be one of those jerky bosses. And so that's the question I kind of have to fix first, is ask ourselves, what type of person am I trying to become? Was I created to be? We were all created to be with purpose. If I want to be patient, if I want to be a good mother, what does that mean?
Mhm.
And what is getting in my way of becoming that? Because like I said, we have to decide what type of person we are and take steps accordingly. And what is in my way, we got to move over whatever's in your way, step over it, whatever it is, fix those little issues that we have to be better, to be a better mom, to be a better wife, to be a better coworker, a better boss. Why are you smiling?
Well, you caught my attention. For the record, everybody, she is a little impatient sometimes, and
Of
she does get a little
course.
bit mean. So
Everybody asks me every question all the day long. It's like, wow, I can't, just give me a minute,
I do know.
No,
I'm
but
just
it's
teasing.
important. And we forget that sometimes when we're focused so much on the job or the career, whatever it is, we focus on that. How am I going to do better? What kind of person do I want to be?
Mhm.
Because that is super important. Like I said, the more I think about it, I say, okay, I want to be a better mom. What does that mean exactly? I want to be a little bit more patient. I want to listen more. I want to take more time and really be present with the kids, be with my husband, be present when we go out. And it takes effort to do that. It takes effort because a lot of times we just want to do what we want to do. We want to be on the computer. We want to, maybe cook by ourselves so nobody makes a mess. So that's important, that we have to, those little opportunities we have all the time, every day. And we just focus on those, because sometimes when we think too far in the future, we get overwhelmed and we're not sure what to do. Take little steps. Just decide today, what kind of person I'm striving to be, a more patient person. Okay, what can I do? Maybe I could sit and listen to my husband a little bit more. That's what I'm going to do today. Take a little tiny step every day. Don't think big sometimes. Are you smiling again?
It's on the record, everybody. Let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors.
Hey, Wheelbarrow Profits family, are you struggling with ways of teaching your kids about money and financial literacy? Gino, I think we have something to help them. Tell them about it.
We've been hard at work creating the Jake and Gino Youth Academy. The Academy takes a deep dive into good money habits, setting up a budget, investing, taxes, the difference between an asset and a liability, and so much more. This is a great opportunity to spend time with your children, to be their role model when it comes to money and investing, and learn how to set them on the right path to financial success.
If you want more information on how you can become the next Youth Academy member, visit www.jakeandgino.com/education to begin your journey to financial freedom.
As we like to say at Jake and Gino, people with financial intelligence can change the world for the better. Now, this section is all about you. What I want you to do as you're listening to this, what are the questions you're going to ask yourself? Who are you? What do you do? And who do you help? Even if you're working at a W-2 job, you're still helping others. That's still part. And you can still create your own vocation, your own life purpose, which leads into the soul purpose. What are you passionate about? It took me a long time to figure out what I was passionate about. In the beginning, I thought I was passionate about making money and creating wealth. And that's from my parents' upbringing. They were immigrants. They wanted the financial stability, and that's what I thought I was achieving. But ultimately, I just wanted to become really good at something and create a business. I wanted to learn how to build a business and scale a business. And, obviously coinciding that with an amazing family. I always spent a lot of time at work. I wanted my family to work with me. So I've been able to achieve that. So for you, what is your sole purpose? What really gets you passionate? What gets you really excited about? And what are you good at? What can you teach people? How can you give of yourself to others? I challenge a lot of people out there. Maybe go to coaching school, maybe become a life coach or a business coach or a mentor. There's so much involved in that. You'll start doing it for free. Then all of a sudden, one day, people start paying you to do it. And how much fun is that? People are paying you to help them. And in the process, you're learning so much more. You're growing so much more as a person. You're going to love it. So number one, who are you? Number two, what do you do? And number three, who do you help? If you can formulate those sentences like I just did before, I create multifamily entrepreneurs, rip that down for yourself and start telling people what you do, and you'll start generating those great conversations.
Yeah, today's a good day to reflect on all the questions Gino just asked and make a decision, because our decisions pave our future. But when we make decisions in life, little, small, whatever they are, they really have a great impact on life. So we have a huge responsibility about each decision we make and each action we take. So make decisions based off of that. Pay attention to that, because when we got married, that was a huge decision to get married, right? To have children, to have a huge family. Those were great responsibilities that I had taken on. And I have to be responsible for the choices I make. If I choose poorly, I'm still responsible for those. And I can't just, you know what? I don't really feel like being a mom anymore. I'm going to go have fun, Gino. You know what I mean? I have to be responsible for the decisions I make. And, wherever you are in life, we take responsibility for our past, but we make different choices if we want a different path. And that could be today.
This is where you also set up your core values. Mm-hmm. You have to have that North Star, those guiding principles. What are your core values? We have people first, unwavering ethics, extreme ownership, make it happen, and growth mindset. It took us several months to flesh those out. I didn't have core values. I didn't have a mission statement at the restaurant. Maybe that's why I failed. Maybe it's not, but I think that's why I failed. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I'm amazed at all the people that tell me, boy, you've got a great crew of people working at Jake and Gino. I wish I could take credit for that. They're all amazing. Yeah. All of them, Josh, Dylan, Mackenzie, John, obviously Stenziano, we got Vikram, we got Russ, we got my brother Mark. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the coaches out there, Bill Ham and Chris Jackson and Colin, and you got Nick, and you got, all of them, Vince, you got Mikey T. I can continue to name. They're all amazing. But they all abide and they all live by our core values. They gravitate towards those core values, and we live those core values, and they're a real big impact on others. And I think all of them, every single one of them that I mentioned, they all want to help others. Mm-hmm. They're all out there helping and seeking to help others. And that's why they've made this an amazing company, an amazing place for me to work at. Mm-hmm. And I love that. That's what it's all about. But if we didn't have those core values, it'd be very hard to find and attract those people. And then once they're there, how are we working? How are we creating these objectives? Our objective at Jake and Gino is really to provide value and to provide that education and to provide that personal development and to provide that community for people. How do you do that if you don't have core values, if you don't have a guiding principle, if you don't have a mission statement? So that's another challenge that I give to you. Sit down during the week, spend an hour quietly and reflect upon what you want your life to be, where you want to end up, and then reverse engineer that and start thinking about your values. Because if you don't have values, it's very hard to set goals. Let me give you a quick example. If my value is to be at home with my family and to hang out and have quality time, but I got Josh sending me every other weekend to a speaking engagement, I may become an amazing, successful speaker, but that's going to conflict with my values. How is that going to make me feel? I'm going to feel not happy, right? It's going to be in conflicts. I'm doing great on one end, but on the other end, I'm going against my values. So set your values up. You have to say no to a lot of things. And what I ended up doing was I ended up tricking my wife into bringing her. Next week, we're going to Knoxville with the whole entire family, but it's really cool because they're at the event. The 10-year-old is not too thrilled about it, but she'll get over it. When she grows up, she's got the Jake and Gino swag. She knows all the people. She'll see all the people. She'll figure it out by the time she's 12 or 13 that she'll really, truly enjoy coming to these events. And that's how I did it. My values were all about people first. So I need to serve the Jake and Gino community. I need to be at all these events, but how do I make that happen with my family that I don't want to leave them away every weekend? Well, I bring them with me.
Yeah, no, I like that. The 10-year-old, it's the worst day of her life at the events, just so you all know.
It's painful. She gets through it. She's a trooper and she's amazing, but it's painful for her. And sometimes for our kids, we have to say, you have to suffer. It's not fun all the time. Right. But the 12 and 13-year-olds are at the table. They're selling the swag. They're talking with the adults. They're listening to dad. And it's a really cool event. So for them, it's more of a long game.
Yeah. Any job we're in, wherever we are right now in life, we can make a difference. We can, if we choose to. Like Gino mentioned, all the people that work with him, they all are making a difference in people's lives. And that's my point. It doesn't mean that you have to be the boss, the CEO of the company to change people's lives. You can. As a mom, I didn't work. I didn't make money. I haven't made money in many years.
Financially free, August 30th, 1998.
But at the same
little magic box in the house.
At the same time, I raised a bunch of children. I helped my husband. I helped people, just by listening to them. So that's my point. It doesn't mean that you have to be, top of the world to make a difference in people's lives. You're where you are right now. Make a difference right now where you are. There's a great quote from St. Catherine of Siena. She said, "Be who God created you to be, and you'll set the world on fire." And I love that. Be who God created you to be, and you'll set the world on fire. And it's so powerful because, wow, we can make a difference. We could go out and make a difference to people.
But that's the difference. Like, sometimes some of us are struggling. Who are we supposed to be?
Yes.
And we're out there really
sometimes
serving
we
others.
Question it so much to the point we do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we cannot even make a decision because we're like, what if it's wrong? And this is when something like that in my life, here's what I do. I pray about it. I think of something. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I take a step toward it. And I literally say, God, if you don't want me to do it, just stop me, because I'm going to go all out and put my all in.
And I'll push it.
No, seriously. Yes. Because we always wait for like a letter from God. Yeah, this is what I want you to do. And it just doesn't happen. Maybe it does happen to some people, but I don't know. I pray and I just do it. And if it's not something I'm supposed to do, I hope that God will stop me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just say, yes, just go, just do it. If you ask me to do something, okay.
Julia, the last thing I really want to hit on is your soul purpose. Mm-hmm. Once you start living your soul purpose, you're going to start living a life of abundance. It's just, things aren't scarce. We're either an abundance mindset or scarcity mindset. If you're told to save for your retirement, save for that rainy day, you may have a little bit of a scarcity mindset. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I had that mindset and I was always worried about stuff. Now I have the abundance mindset that allows you to help other people. Mm-hmm. Remember, it only starts by helping one person. Yeah. You help that one person tells somebody, then it's the second person. Mm-hmm. Then from two people, you're helping four. And then, like I said, the first student closed a deal. Now we're at 17,000 units. There's a lot of work that takes in place in that, right? And it's not about me, it's about the community, it's about helping others. But that's what it comes down to. I want
to sneak in there for a second, Gino, because sometimes we do think we need to help everyone, and we want to go,
yes,
in the midst of, the terrible neighborhoods to help the poor. And that's what we desire to do. I talk to people all the time. They want to help, they want to give back. You can help in your own home. Sometimes we think so far away, where we forget the people right next to us that are craving our attention, that are craving our help. My kids, I feed them every day. I clothe them every day. You know what I mean? You forget that you do good things all the time. You just don't notice them.
I was just about to say, I'm hungry. Getting hungry for breakfast. So, is that what you're heading towards?
We do. We think we have to feed the people across the country that we've never met yet, but yet that we forget about the people in our own neighborhoods and even closer, our own home. Look first to the person next to you. And are you giving your all to them? Because if you're not, that's the person you should start with. This is another quote. And I know Mother Teresa, she says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And that is so important because we're raising our family. We're making a difference in the world just by being home, in our house with our children, with our husband.
I will leave you with this quote. Yeah. It's from Robert Frost. And it's appropriate for all of the listeners on the multifamily zone because we do have multiple roads. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. Maybe it's out there for you to take that road less traveled, to not look always inward, and to help others.
Nice.
Thanks, Joel.
You're welcome.
I hope you all have an amazing day today.
Yes.
Every day, be grateful
Mm-hmm.
for what God has given you. Go out there, think about others, think about yourself, think about getting better every single day at what you're doing. and go out there and make it happen.
Yeah. And, please email me. Please email me. Let me know your thoughts are on this podcast, what you want to hear in the future ones. I do love hearing people's stories. So please don't think that I don't want to read them, because I love hearing people's stories. My email is juliabarbaro@gmail.com.
Thanks, everyone.